Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner, and you're listening to this on Monday, February 14th. Two things weird about that. One, we're recording on a Monday. We'll explain that after our ad read. And two, it's February 14th. So, if you're listening to this, reminder, it's Valentine's Day. If you're just now reminding it, you're probably too late anyways, but you got time. Salvage it. It's Valentine's Day. But before we get into the show, let's go ahead and listen to a word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by Manscaped. The leaders in male grooming have done it again to make your grooming game next level. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the new Performance Package 4.0 by heading over to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping using the code GRIPLOCK. The Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped has arrived, and oh boy, is it worth the wait. First off, the new Performance Package 4.0 includes the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is insane, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever. Yeah, you know what? I said it. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, the Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor. Konner, how many cylinders do you think that thing is?
7,000 RPM.
Yeah,
well, that's like a V8. Right,
it's a lot of Kelvin.
I mean, that's so it can outpull the new Forerunner.
Don't bring this up.
7,000 RPM motor and a new multifunction on-off switch that can engage travel lock, which is a very useful feature, and gives you the ability to turn on the 4,000 Kelvin LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Oh, and on top of all that, did I mention it's waterproof too?
You thought that was good, but want to take your grooming game even further to the next level? The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM.
Dang, now we're really pulling.
Motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system.
It's a rotary?
Oh, yeah.
Like a Mazda RX-7.
This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes.
Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations, their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant before you leave the house, and Crop Reviver Ball Toner for a mid-game ball check. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. So don't forget to get 20% off and free shipping with the code GRIPLOCK at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code, one word, GRIPLOCKED over at manscaped.com. Your balls have been through enough this past year. Treat them with the best tools for the job over at Manscaped. All right, so let's quickly explain why you're listening to our voices on Monday, if you are listening when they drop. This is a new schedule for this show. We were thinking through, and there's a few different things that play into it. Number one, we talk about results a lot, and with the season coming up, we figured what better time to talk about results than on a Monday, because then it's fresh on your mind, fresh on our mind, and if you want to be in the know about what's going down, Monday's the best time to get that information right away. So if you couldn't catch it over the weekend, boom, you can listen to your results here. But more importantly, it's because starting this week, there's a new show on Thursday launching the Trevor Staub Show.
Heck yeah.
You might have noticed the absence of an interview show on our podcast network for about a month now, and that is happening no longer. Trevor is going to be bringing you the interviews you want to hear all throughout the season, interviewing interesting people in disc golf and around disc golf, so people all over the industry. Who's the first interview this week?
I think the first interview is going to end up being Drew Gibson.
Drew Gibson. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be super exciting.
Juicy, gossipy details.
Oh, heck yeah. That's at TMZ, we love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. That's all it is about.
But one thing that I am super looking forward to about Trevor's show, other than it being Trevor's show, is it's not going to be just like, oh, so-and-so won this week, let's have them on the show. Oh, Ricky won again, let's have him back on the show. Oh, Paul won, let's have him on the show now. It's interviews that are sometimes behind-the-scenes stuff, sometimes they are the players that won. But just interesting interviews that kind of give you a different look at disc golf, which we felt like was a needed space, and super excited to start that off. So that's coming on Thursday, which pushed us to Monday, which I think makes a little more sense for Grip Locked anyways.
Well, more importantly, we avoid the Wednesday curse now.
Yeah. Well, now it's going to be the Monday curse.
I'm sure it'll slowly switch over once
realistically,
they realize.
who wants to announce something on a Monday? So, we might have just solved everything.
Yeah.
No one wants to announce on a Monday.
Why do people announce on a Wednesday?
I don't know. But they do. They always do.
They always do.
Well, we did have disc golf this past weekend. The All-Star event went down. The results from that, we had Team Katrina taking down Team Page 7-6 points-wise. Then we had Team Calvin taking down Eagle, also 7-6. In singles, Katrina Allen had the hot round at 7 under par, and Calvin Heimberg had the hot round at 13 under par. So the respective captains took down the singles, although the overall score didn't matter. It was just the head-to-head. between the players. So in case, just a brief summary of what the format was, they split into 2 different teams, Calvin and Eagle, and then Katrina and Paige. They drafted their teams. They assigned them to 3 different skills competition of putting, distance, accuracy. The skills competitions, if you won, you awarded a point for your team. Then you played doubles head-to-head against a matchup. If the doubles team that won, again, awarded a point to their team. And then the same thing on singles. You were head-to-head stroke play matchup. If you won your head-to-head matchup, you also awarded your point to your team. So, starting with skills competition.
The format was pretty good, honestly. The way it played out, it ended up playing
ended up being entertaining.
Pretty well.
Yeah, so the skills competitions were okay. They happened on Friday. It was the scheduling of them, I think, could have been a little bit better because you had FPO go off at 3 and then you had MPO at 6, and there was this awkward hour in between. And also having only FPO go at once for the skills competition and then MPO only go at once left some weird downtime, where I think I'm all for separate streams for the actual rounds, because we'll talk about that in a second, how much I really enjoyed watching the rounds this weekend. But for the skills competition, I think flow-wise and pacing-wise, it would have worked a lot better if they were all together, because you could have had the FPO distance, and then while FPO is walking up to the skills, the MPO distance can go on, and then you go straight into the FPO skills, and then straight to the MPO skills, and it would have not as much downtime in between. I think that was the biggest thing was that I personally noticed is the actual event and what they had them do was entertaining. The line hitting, the distance, and the putting. They had 3 good skills competition, and the format of them were pretty good. I saw some people complaining about the accuracy needed in the distance comp, but that's usual.
Yeah,
that's pretty much always how it is. It was a little tighter than normal, but I've never seen a distance competition where there wasn't some type of you got to land within these boundaries type thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the formats themselves, there wasn't really much to complain about. The one thing that I noticed was, I think part of why it wasn't as entertaining as it could have been was I felt like one step removed from the event.
Yeah.
I think this is mainly because the commentators were in a booth in Oregon and not on the ground in Arizona. During the rounds, we've talked about that before, during the actual Pro Tour season. But you don't really notice it too much during an actual round going on, because during a round, even if the commentators could get extra insight if they're on the ground, but they're not walking with the card, holding a mic, yada, 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 they'd be removed from the action anyways. This, an all-star event, for the skills contest, you almost want the commentators who are talking about it to be right there, because then it would have better captured the energy that was going on.
Yeah, those skills events are all about atmosphere, because like you said, it can get, the pacing for those can be tough, and I think they made it even tougher not layering them in and separating it out. But yeah, having them down there, you can feel the energy more. It's funny because around the same time as this All-Star was going on, they had the waste management on the PGA Tour, and I've been seeing all these clips of the loudest hole in golf, the hole 16, which for starters, I think disc golf needs to make one of those somewhere. Probably
hole 8 at Maple Hills, closest thing we got.
Right, but we need somewhere where we can build grandstands and stuff to where it's make it the loudest hole in disc golf. But a lot of the effect of that is they have people there, so when they cut, even when you hear the commentators talking over things that are happening, you hear the noise in the background.
Well, some of that's just audio mixing.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. That's something that we didn't get. I noticed that with the shot with James Conrad last year is you hear the crowd noise and then it cuts to the studio and it's just that's all gone and you hear voices. I think disc golf production needs to do a better job of incorporating. Even if the commentators can't be there, you have to let the atmosphere leak into it just enough. Not they have to yell over it.
Yeah.
But to where you don't feel like you're cutting away.
Yeah.
Every time they have to talk. But I agree, the format for the All-Star skills competition was good. I think it's really tough to do those types of events. Even I've mentioned last week, I think in other pro sports, sometimes it can be hard to get the pros invested into that stuff and make it entertaining. Some of the events speak for themselves. The distance would be probably the disc golf equivalent, where others you kind of just have to hype it up and make it just look really cool. But no, I would say it was executed well. It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, all in all, it was about as good as live streaming a skills event could be, just because the pace, like you were saying, the pace and that type of stuff, it's always going to be tough to accomplish.
Yeah.
But it did bring us some sick moments. We had a pretty thrilling finish in the MPO distance comp where Garrett Gerthy had to throw 680, and then he like pumped one out on his final throw, and you're just sitting there in suspense waiting. It was like 661 feet. Only 661 feet. And it was like 20 feet short, but like you're watching it fly, and then like everyone was waiting for the Bushnell guy, like who's out there to shoot it. And first off, I just fell victim to this. Can we stop saying Bushnell instead of rangefinder?
Oh, they're just calling Bushnell. They're just calling
on the
Bushnell?
Pro Tour, it's one thing because like the Bushnell sponsors, they paid so much, they might be paying them to call it a Bushnell, but like. It's leaked into my life. Where like when I pull out a rangefinder, I think of it as like, I just pull out my Bushnell real quick. Like
I haven't fallen into that trap yet.
I catch myself like we were on the golf course and like actually playing golf. Yeah. And my brother-in-law Kent had a rangefinder. Yeah. Wasn't a Bushnell brand. I was like, hey, can you hand me your Bushnell real quick? And he's like looked at me like, that's tough, my man. What? And I was like, oh my gosh.
Bushnell's getting exactly what they wanted. Yeah, man. You fell right into the trap.
It's just I think of rangefinder and all I can think of is Bushnell. Anyways,
that's perfect marketing. Man. They positioned well.
So they would shoot that, and it was like waiting in suspense. And then on the FPO putting, we had Heather Young set a line that it wasn't broken until like the last 2 or 3 MPO guys went.
She is lethal.
It was thrilling. And then also on the MPO putting, Conrad had a line to beat, and then steps up to the 45-footer. It was like it seemed like it wasn't going to happen, and then just banged 5 in a row. Yeah. It was thrilling. It was funny because we were watching it, and Liz, my wife, was watching it with me, and she said something about like Conrad hit one of the putts on the station before and was walking to the 45-footer. She's like, how hard is 45 feet
for
like,
him?
She's like, are these guys like? Should I expect him to like make them all or what? I'm like, no. I was like, he'll probably make like 3. I was like, but making them all from 45 feet, like that's it. Like no one will really do that. And then he just made it look so easy. Wow. She's like, that didn't look hard. I was like, gosh darn it.
I would like to know like. I'd like them to like film pros like Conrad putting from like their steppers from like that distance, and they give me the breakdown of how much distance they are able to take away from
before
the putt,
like when they're actually throwing it
because like Conrad gets further out there than anybody because he's so lanky.
He's probably like 40 feet.
That's what I'm saying. I want to know like what pros take the most distance away from a step putt compared to others. Yeah, because he it looks like he's just handing the disc to the basket from like circle's edge.
Yeah, then I think he needed to hit the bonus putt for him to like win the point for his team, and he wasn't able to do it. But then we moved over to doubles on Saturday, and on the FPO side there was a little bit of rust that was pretty evident. It was on mainly, to be honest with you, some of the women who had switched bags this offseason.
Rust or nerves?
Probably a combination of both, to be honest with you. But some of it was weird because like one of the things I noticed was Katrina Allen on Saturday seemed like she just didn't know what some of her discs were going to do. Because she would release it, and you'd be able to like audibly hear her be like, that thing shouldn't flip that much, is what she would say.
That's not what you want. That's not what you want as DJ.
Well, that's what I was watching on Saturday, and I was thinking like, oh boy, this is a tough look. Because she just seemed like frustrated. She seemed out of it. But then on Sunday, she comes out, and like I already said, she had the hot round. Yeah. So she turned around. Like on Sunday, she was throwing some incredible shots with her. I don't even know what they were. I'd assume it was a hurricane. I know I saw a squall in her bag, stuff like that. She was throwing some incredible shots with the DGA stuff.
There's plenty of DGA molds that do the job.
Yeah. But then Haley King surprisingly didn't seem that comfortable. I thought like Haley King was basically going to be coming back home to Innova, and I thought she'd be able to like just step right in. But a lot of times they cut to her, and something just seemed off. And then Konner was struggling out there as well, which I think Konner, part of it in my head thinks it is a lot of nerves. Because
she's got the big contract.
Exactly. Yeah. She's got a lot more to live up to. Because Haley King, she switched contracts, but we don't know her numbers. We don't know. And same thing with Katrina Allen. Like Kat, she basically just needs to perform to her level. Konner has to get better.
That is something to consider when you talk about the contract numbers being public, is the pressure it's going to put on the player that you're giving that contract, because now they know that people are looking at them like that kind of athlete.
Well, if you look at like Ricky and Paul, right, or even Chris and Tatar, who those are the ones that we've talked about their contracts being public and stuff, they're all like, they just need to perform to the level they're currently at. You know what I mean? They're like Paul and Ricky, top of the game.
Konner probably feels like
Kristen,
she needs to elevate.
Yeah, Konner got this big contract being 9th ranked in the world.
Right.
And she's feeling like, hey, I need to be in the top like 3 or 4, which that's a big, and on FPO, the top 4 or 5 women.
It's going to be a dogfight this year.
Yeah, the top 4 or 5 women are almost in their own division above. Like there's people in the like Haley King, Missy Gannon, Konner, Owen Scoggins, Rebecca Cox. There's players who can pump into that echelon, that top echelon, but there's those 5 of Katrina Allen, Hannah Blomroos, Kristen Tatar, Evelina Salonen, and Paige Pierce.
It's gonna be hard to crack that.
Those 5, it's hard to imagine a tournament where all 5 of them are at and one of them doesn't win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so when you're Kona and you're currently sitting in 9th place and publicly you're making more than all but one of them, it probably puts pressure on of like, I need to get into that top 5. And when you're not,
the more I hear that top 5, the more it makes me want to make a crazy bet like I did last year with the Paul thing. And the Paul one was like astronomical. Sure.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like there would be like, what kind of odds are you giving me if I say to you, nobody wins except for those 5?
At tournaments they're all
I think I already made that take. Was that my crazy take? I think I did. I think, yeah, that was my take. It was at a tournament that all 5 of them are at. Nobody else beats them.
I mean, I think those are pretty low odds because I think that's like going to happen.
Do you think it's going to happen too?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Someone called into debate night and they had a hot take that said
the question
Paige
is how many
was only going to win one. Or they just said Paige wasn't going to win or only win one tournament this year that all 5 of them are at. Oh. That was a tougher take.
Yeah, it's interesting to think like is it going to be one of the FPO players that kind of like has the dominant season and everybody else is kind of just, or is it just going to be like a rotation?
I don't know. I hope it's a rotation, but
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see.
I can't wait.
On the MPO side, I mean, they kind of all came out firing. There wasn't much signs of rust or nerves. They all seemed loose, seemed on fire. The entire field shot 14 under except for Nico and Gannon. They shot 13 under. So like they were all just right there. Yeah, they were all just right there. One thing that was interesting was Kyle Klein and Adam Hammonds were paired up as doubles partners, and they had a stretch from like hole 3 to hole 16 where they didn't take a par. They had all birdies and 1 bogey. But when you would watch them, what was interesting was like they weren't on at the same time.
Yeah.
So like Adam would mess up, and then Kyle would put it close, and then Kyle would mess up, and then Adam would put it close, or then Adam would miss a putt, Kyle would hit the putt.
They should invite us out there next year to be like the control group. Like we'll play the course first double so they understand what like normal average golfers do, and then just watch them all go out there and shred it. Just ace 500
for the
holes.
MPO. It wasn't that long of a course. I think forget how long it was. I think it was like 8,000 feet or something like that. For a golf course, it's not that long.
I guess if I'm doing an all-star event, I don't know.
You kind of want it to be shreddable.
Yeah, you definitely want it to be shreddable. You want the scores to be like super low, and then I guess like having it open is probably smart too because you're gonna get to see big drives.
Yeah, well, like one of the highlights.
Roller,
I'd say one of the highlights was Ezra laid down this like probably like 680-foot roller on a par 4, and then James Conrad hit the like 60-70 foot putt for the eagle. That was like one of the highlights of the doubles round. On the FPO side, you had like Deanne Carey had a pretty sick throw in and stuff like that. So there was a lot of like highlights that came out of the weekend, especially during the singles round, which we'll get into here. But the singles round was their first real look at the players this year. Like I said earlier, Kona and Haley still seemed to struggle a bit with their bag, but Kat got herself together. So I don't know what happened overnight between doubles and singles, but I didn't notice any of
that disc flipped like that.
Yeah, I didn't notice any of the like. Oh my word! I can't believe because she was throwing a decent line, and then you could just tell that she didn't know the disc was going to do what it did. But then in singles, that just didn't happen.
She'd been with Prodigy for a long time.
Yeah,
like that
9 years.
That is all she knew for 9 years. Like I mean, I probably went stretches where I had, like, I don't know if I've ever thrown a consistently like the same molds for longer than like a year.
Yeah,
like it's
9 years is something.
That's a long time.
And so the FPO finish was pretty thrilling. There was a lot of back and forth. I really liked the format personally. It was confusing at times, but I think that is mainly due to one thing that we'll talk about in about 10 minutes. But on the MPO side, it was a truly thrilling finish because first off, you have Nico and Matteo going back and forth. Matteo's up 3. And then out of nowhere, Nico hits a 530-foot ace.
That was insane.
And Matteo takes a 4 on the same hole. So now, one hole later, that 3-stroke lead, gone. They're tied. Next hole, Nico birdies. Matteo pars. So now Nico's up 1. And then he was able to ride that all the way in to gain his team a point. So now, coming down the stretch, you had Calvin and Eagle head-to-head. Essentially, I believe Adam and... it might have been Adam and Kyle were the other two matchup. But Adam and whoever his matchup were basically irrelevant at 18. Like it was something crazy needed to happen, and it did happen because Adam like threw OB twice and he was blowing up. Maybe it was Kevin Jones. So whoever it was that Adam was going against, that off the like second shot, you already knew, okay, they're getting a point there. So basically Eagle and Calvin, whoever won hole 18, Eagle was down by 1. If Eagle got a 2-stroke swing on Calvin, Eagles team won. If Calvin held him off, Calvin's team won. If they tied, they were both going to get a half point. The whole All-Star event would have been tied, and then Calvin and Eagle would have went into a head-to-head playoff.
That'd have been sick.
For the All-Star event title. So they both throw their drive on 18, and then both throw their second shot. Eagle's drive was a little shorter. Eagle pulled his second shot. He threw about as good as he could have. It was like 120, 130 feet, but under this tree.
Yeah.
So you're watching it, and like you deep down know, like, okay, it's done. Calvin put it to like 28 feet or so uphill. Not an easy putt, but again, Eagle had to make his for 3. So Eagle steps up, and then they show the behind camera, and there's like branches hanging down that are covering half the basket. And then there's like this little hole up to the right.
He had nothing.
And so you're looking at it, you're like,
uphill, like
yeah, you're like, oh,
nothing.
even if he were to throw it in somehow, like he needed to, there's no line here.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting like a low spinner, nose up, and then he starts aiming at the upper right gap. I was literally in my head like, okay, well, I know he's running it, but that's such a stupid run. Like there's no way it goes in. And then he threw it. And the thing's just like floating through the air. And then like halfway there, he fist pumps and starts running. And I was like, what is he doing? And then sure enough, dead center.
It's like a knifing hyzer putt.
Yeah, it
something
was
you never see.
It was insane. It was so sick. And so then now Calvin has a 28-footer with pressure on him, because if Calvin misses that, A, there's a rollaway potential that he could lose the whole thing.
Yeah.
B, if he misses it and stays close, they're going to a playoff.
It reminded me, that was just like the putt he had. Was it at Worlds or was it Idlewild? I think it might have been Idlewild. There was a putt where he had like he was from a knee, low ceiling.
That was
headwind.
Calvin, right?
No,
at Idlewild?
No, I think it was.
No, it was Calvin at Jonesboro. Is the putt I'm thinking of.
The one where it was the low
Eagle
ceiling.
at Idlewild.
Yeah, so he was low ceiling, under like on a knee, up a hill into a headwind, and just somehow spun it in there. Like,
He has so much spin.
yeah, Eagle is never out of it.
Yeah.
like he always has some kind of run.
So
It's
he
insane.
hit that, and then Calvin steps up. Not a care in the world because he's a robot.
Yeah.
And just dead center. I was hoping he missed it just for
Calvin. I
the
think
fun
Calvin
of
is going to
the
have a little bit of a
playoff,
chip
but-
this year because I mean I think he underperformed a little bit last year. So obviously he had the hot round. So good signs for him. Although it's funny, like if we think about the All-Star event last year, it was Paul and Konner
that won it.
So what does that tell us? That tells us that Calvin is going to win USDGC.
Well, I do think that I do think this is a better this is a better showing. The course was more similar to Las Vegas than last year's All-Star event. So
right, a little more of a preview.
It was a little bit more of a preview, but again, not really.
The win wasn't crazy though.
No, wind wasn't crazy.
That'll
And
be a big tell.
one other storyline that came out of it is, first off, Konner owe you an apology because Eagle did end up doing putting. His injured shoulder was a bigger deal than we thought.
I got a lot of DMs about that.
I'm going to give you a half an apology. No, I'm going to give you a full apology. Well, because like, as long as everybody understands like why we said that, had we known he was injured,
We did know he was injured.
no,
We just forgot. We didn't
had
think
we
it was.
remembered he was injured,
Yeah.
we never would have made fun of Konner.
Yeah, no, I just thought.
I don't blame you guys.
I,
If he wasn't injured, it was a silly pick.
I knew he was injured. I thought he was back to 100%. This weekend, he wasn't throwing sidearms. From what I understood from the commentary, it sounds like he can throw sidearms. He just didn't want to risk it yet, and like maybe a little bit later in the season, he'll start
He
throwing
seemed
more.
pretty capable. So,
But yeah, I mean, his backhand was normal. He was ripping shots all over the place, and then shockingly, I didn't expect this. He sets up to a 360-foot par 3 and just throws lefty and put it to like 28 feet.
I love that.
He put it at 28 feet and hit the putt for the birdie, and then his upshot on one of the par 4s, he threw lefty again.
I want to.
That was one of my parlays.
I wonder. I still wonder. Like that was a trend back in the day. There were a lot of players before the forehand throw got super popular. There was a lot of guys who thought that like being able to learn how to throw lefty hyzers was going to be like a big advantage. And there were a lot of players who had it and like used it. Nico was a big one.
Nico used it at hole 3 USDGC.
He threw it at Memorial. Like there were a lot of guys that were learning that, and then people realized like, why would you do that? Just throw a forehand. You can look at the target. It's great.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like there will ever be a player who will, because like there are guys who have made it to Major League Baseball, like the big leagues, never like with a ton of relevance, but there are guys who are able to get there pitching with both arms. It's like that tells me that like there is like I've seen ambidextrous disc golfers that are like pretty good with both arms. Like I wonder if that'll happen someday where we'll get somebody who like is very good with both arms and just like shreds.
I was disappointed. I was disappointed that Eagle didn't hit the putt with his left hand. So gotta take a style point off for that. He did putt with his right hand.
I feel like the footwork would be like half the battle, like the lower body sink.
Yeah, I mean,
and then like going back to your
his form looked good, lefty. It kind of looked like when Gannon Burr flipped the foot.
Yeah, Gannon Burr had me thinking he was a freak of nature for about 10 minutes there.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that in the All-Star events, though, is like people trying to do crazy stuff.
I'm curious if at Vegas Eagle pulls it out, or if he was like pulling it out. It's like, hey, look at this trick I can do because it's the All-Star event.
I will say that like there are some All-Star events where they have like pro All-Star events have taken like two approaches before. Like baseball, for example, they took the approach of this used to be the rule that like the winning team in the All-Star game, like that division, like the AL or the NL, was going to get home field advantage in the World Series. So like they were like, let's make the All-Star better by putting real stakes on the line. And then other All-Star games have just like left it completely up for fun, like the NBA, for example, and then you have guys just doing ridiculous things, and like that's kind of fun. So it's like there's almost like a balance to where I think with disc golf, if you just had them out there playing for really not much of anything, like I think because they got cash bonuses, right, for winning.
Yes.
Yeah. So like if you had them out there for pretty much anything, you probably would see a lot more like crazy lines.
They should do it'd be fun to do like a cash bonus on the like trick shot of the weekend.
I just want to see I want to see them go.
You know what I mean?
I want to see them all step up to a
like,
water hole and not be worried about the result and all try to throw the skip shot.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it maybe put some type of incentive on a Simon line bonus or something like that.
Oh gosh, don't call it a Simon line bonus.
Well, I mean that's just in disc golf.
I get what you're saying,
but
though.
Like
you step
some
up
type
to
of incentive to where like. Yeah, like Eagle. Yeah, I could if he's
it's like
fully
a different
normal.
kind of
he's
Mando.
like I could throw forehand here, but like I kind of want that
Sounds
trick
like
shot bonus if I park it with my leg.
Yeah, that's
maybe
that's a good
maybe that's what we do. Ripped Revenge,
just Ripped Revenge
All-Stars
event.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, there we go.
I would actually love to see like very high level pros like all play Rip together.
Yeah,
we played with Paul and with Gannon, and with Brody as well. But I'd like to see like a full match of that.
That'd be pretty thrilling. Apparently, back in the day, I was talking to like the Ripped Revenge founder the other day, and apparently back in the day when like first launched alongside Innova, they had like Schwebby, Barry Schultz, Dave Wiggins, and someone else at the USDGC course.
Schwebby would hide.
They did like a Ripped Revenge event, and so people come to watch, and it was all of them at the USDGC course playing Rip.
I guarantee you, Schwebby would be dirty at Ripped Revenge.
Yeah, he's got so many weird trick shots.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do like a trick shot bonus next year. If you're listening, Pro
trick
Tour.
shot bonus. I like you step up to a hole and it's very clear like this, if you attempt this kind of shot on this hole, whether it's a lefty or you skip one off the water or whatever, that's a bonus. Yeah, I like that.
That'd be kind of cool. One other thing that we got a little bit of a preview on was the new some of the new rules for 2022 are obviously in effect at this tournament. And one of them that caused some confusion multiple different times on MPO and FPO
the line
was the new OB rule. So essentially the change was now if you're out of bounds, if your disc goes out of bounds, instead of just a perpendicular, you have a semicircle of a meter. So if you want to take it...
So you could get closer to the basket.
Well, you could always get closer to the basket if the line is faced right.
Oh, right.
But now it's a semicircle, so
now.
You don't... Right before it had to be perpendicular, no matter what. So you can't go farther than a meter away, but basically you can take that meter in any direction if your disc is OB. So everyone understood that rule. What's confusing is if your disc is an OB, but you're close to the OB line, you only get a meter perpendicular. So it's two different rules. So it differentiates. If your disc is OB, you get a semicircle meter. If your disc isn't OB, you take it last. So this is the PDGA's explanation. It says, this change gives the player more flexibility after going out of bounds. This change is especially important where multiple out-of-bounds lines intersect, such as like corners and stuff like that, or where obstacles prevent the player from taking a legal stance, maybe within 1 meter of the out-of-bounds area. It prevents excess relief in the cases of intersecting OB lines at acute angles or in tight space, and it also prevents a player who lands inbounds from having to abandon the throw if no legal stance can be taken along a perpendicular 1 meter line. This change also treats discs that are OB and nearly OB differently. Now, the only part that doesn't make sense in there is prevents a player who lands inbounds from having to abandon the throw if no legal stance can be taken along a perpendicular 1 meter line. So what does that mean?
I don't know, dude.
Because then the next line says it treats discs that are OB and nearly OB differently.
When I can walk up to the basket now and wedge it in the side of the cage and that counts, I lost a little bit of hope in the rules.
Yeah.
That just is absurd to me.
But we did see several times where
The semicircle
disc,
thing makes sense.
I think the only thing that gets confusing is like I'm an inch shy of OB. It's now treated differently than I'm all the way in OB.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that might get a little confusing for players.
And it's crazy too because like it's like if you actually do go all the way out of bounds, it's like it's a little reward.
But you get
a stroke penalty as well. But
yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, we did see that cause some confusion for players out there. You know, why it caused confusion. It seemed like the players just didn't understand the rule, but like...
Honestly, that's not like... You've now explained that to me. I would not have problem executing that because it's very black and white. It's like out of bounds, semicircle. Not out of bounds, straight line.
I do think that like this weekend made it black and white. Let me find the technical PDGA out of bounds rule because I'm pretty sure in the rule book it like doesn't directly correlate that.
If they're trying to, if the semicircle rule though is trying to avoid certain conflictions with OB lines and obstacles, somebody an inch from OB is going to have those same conflictions. Having to take the
so basically the new rule just
you
says
don't really solve any problem.
A lie designated by a marker disc placed on the playing surface up to 1 meter away from the point where the disc was last in bounds. So that's where it's like you can go 1 meter in any direction now. But I think what you'd have to go is casual relief, or it's somewhere in relief area maybe. I want to read what they said.
I guess it's easier if to use like...
Because like it doesn't really say anything about like a disc getting close to OB.
Because if you're using a semicircle and you can use the OB line as the cap of the circle, nobody can exploit the circle because you have a line to mark the circle, right? But if you're off of the OB... somebody could technically get a little bit ahead
here it is.
of the circle, and it could break that.
Yeah, so it is pretty black and white. So if the position of the thrown disc is inbounds and within 1 meter of an out-of-bounds line, the lie may be relocated to a new lie at any point on a 1 meter line that extends perpendicularly from the point on the out-of-bounds line and passes through the thrown discs. Alternatively, when the thrown disc is within 1 meter of a corner, the lie may be relocated on a 1 meter line that extends from that corner through the thrown disc. So yeah, so basically... I don't know why there was confusion, but there was. I think it's just players didn't fully understand the rule.
Yeah, it's probably more players being like, why is this a rule?
Yeah, but that's... The only thing I didn't like about it is like that's the type of stuff that should have been... This came out December 1st, that this was a proposed rule. You had 2.5 months to ask why is the rule this way.
I feel like the rule...
Or at least learn it. Like it's your job to know that.
Yeah, the new rules like aren't necessarily broadcasted super efficiently.
I just posted everywhere.
They're posted.
What was very funny to me...
But like you have to kind of seek them out.
What was very funny to me is one of the people who didn't understand the new rule that was like arguing of like, I don't understand this, was Sarah Hokum. And she is the player, like on the PDGA's website, her and I believe it's Brian Earhart are the ones who are hosting this like video series going over the rules for the players of like,
that's funny.
I forget what it's called, like Rule School or something like that. And she's like a co-host of it. And then she's like sitting there and she's like, so because I'm not OB, I don't get the semicircle, but if I was OB, I would.
I do agree though. Funny. It's a little bit hypocritical when they're like, we're gonna give you the semicircle to avoid these things, but if you're an inch from OB, you don't get it, and you're not gonna be able to avoid those things. So
I guess it's because it'd be weird if like I'm an inch from OB, now I have to deter, or like maybe realistically, it's more like if I'm 3 feet from OB. It's
definitely because the line helps draw the circle.
That's what I'm saying. Because if I'm 3 feet from OB, I have to go perpendicular there, and then because what would end up happening is if Konner or like the camera is the basket, so it's straight ahead of me, and you're the OB to my left. And my disc is now within 3 feet of you, the OB line. Every player now is taking relief forward,
right?
For no reason,
right?
Versus like if it's a penalty and I'm OB, I had a penalty stroke, so I still got a penalty stroke. Right. So I think that's why they had to do it because you basically just be able to abuse that rule.
I'm taking that circle
to move it closer.
Go ahead and call me. I dare you.
Yeah,
just call me.
Anyways, the final thing that I noticed this All-Star weekend. And I haven't seen anything published about this, but it's very interesting. So All-Star Weekend was using PDGA Live for their live scoring.
Oh, yeah.
And UDisc still hasn't published their 2022 schedule, which makes me wonder is like part of...
PDGA Live just overhauled the way their whole look.
Part of the whole Pro Tour PDGA merge that UDisc got kicked to the curb because the UDisc and the PDGA did part ways to where like your PDGA membership doesn't get you UDisc anymore.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'd be lying if I didn't.
I just paid.
Yeah, I
paid
up.
the $15 for the year.
I did too. Gosh dang it, they got us.
But what was frustrating to me was that UDisc is just a better product right now, UDisc
Yeah.
Live. Because, like, for instance, the live scoring, like I was saying, it was hard to follow this weekend's live scoring in singles and stuff because all it was you went to it and you saw the singles leaderboard.
And I don't want to have to go to a website either. Like, develop an app.
That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about.
I want the app.
The PJ Live was just a scoreboard that was like had the 14 names, right?
Yeah.
UDisc would have had the head-to-head matchups
Yes.
of like this and this, this and this. So like you could have went and been like, oh, because like it didn't matter if Calvin and Eagle were head-to-head, which they were, but this wasn't the true part. If Calvin is 7 strokes ahead of Eagle, and then Calvin and Adam Hammonds are right neck and neck, Calvin and Adam Hammonds don't matter.
Yeah.
So like if Adam Hammonds overtook Calvin on the leaderboard,
Right.
that wouldn't mean anything.
That was
to me.
very confused. Yeah, when I looked at the leaderboard, I was like, well, this is pretty impossible to read because none of this
Yeah.
is like relevant.
The other thing that it took away was seeing the like updated shots of like
Yeah, that's
Eagles sitting
such
on
a
the
big
fairway.
one. You can't, because like we used to be able to with UDisc, like all the time we followed disc golf like we were watching it without actually watching the live coverage.
Yeah, because you'd be able to watch
He's
and be
like,
like,
oh,
oh, he's got a circle
yeah,
two putt.
landed in circle, dude. If
You couldn't see
I'm
that.
telling you right, and like we don't have to give them the heat because there'll be plenty of heat
Yeah.
if this is true. But you're probably, I bet you're right. I bet you they're gonna go with PDGA Live this year.
Yeah, and
I
now
hope they didn't sign anything long
all
term.
you got to do, PDJ Live, is look. The PDJ Live scoring platform, it looks fine, right? It works well.
I'd still like there to be an app.
But sure, an app. That's
want an
completely irrelevant. I don't care about the app.
Well, it's pretty relevant.
Okay, it's relevant. You need
want
an
an
app.
app. I want an app.
But more than you need an app, you need to develop the actual live scoring of like circle two in the fairway, stuff like that. Not for a casual C tier, but for the Pro Tour. If we go
Yeah.
PDJ Live, you gotta have at least that.
And
please,
UDisc,
please.
UDisc like had a volunteer system like in place to like get
Yeah.
all that stuff done. Like that's a big undertaking.
I'm curious if it's true, if it'll hurt UDisc at all.
And what's to stop UDisc from going to the events anyways? That's the big question. Now they might not be able to follow as closely, like get up with the groups, but you could still follow enough. Like what's to stop UDisc from just going and keeping scoring?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that UDisc would lose
Like-
from this is the ad revenue, because they're running ads on the UDisc Live, live scoring.
Yeah.
That obviously had like you could run ads throughout the live scoring, and there were who knows how many people checking UDisc Live scoring throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hits.
That's what I'm saying though. I
And
could
you take that
literally
revenue stream away.
I could still go to an event, just be in the gallery, see every single shot, and keep UDisc live. And as long as if UDisc still had as this like the same product, people would choose it over the PDGA Live
I would
every time. Yeah.
I went to UDisc Live like 6 times,
I didn't
even
even-
though I knew this weekend was on PDJ
Oh my
Live.
gosh,
I'd be like, oh, I gotta check the score. I'd pull out UDisc, hit UDisc Live, and be like,
I'm really gonna.
What the heck is
I'm
it?
really gonna be bummed out if they don't like. And
Yeah.
now that being said, like PDGA, they've got resources. Like
Yeah, just use
whatever.
it, please.
Everything UDisc is doing from a live scoring standpoint is not proprietary. Or
yeah,
anything.
you can figure it out.
Yeah, just do it. And
But
then,
just please figure it
I'll
out.
be like, whatever. Like I'll be like, okay, business is business, but you better not mess it up.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Is like if
'Cause
you
you're
can
gonna
provide the same product, and only difference is we got to go to pjlive.com versus an app on the phone. If that's the only difference, I'm okay. You know what? I don't like that UDisc is missing out, but again, there's nothing proprietary. There's no patent on it. It is what it is. But if we get a worse product, because that's the other thing too, is like what did we lose here? Because like, what if I'd assume the UDisc would be willing to pay to be at Pro Tour events if you rubber met the road.
Yeah, I don't know what the like money relationship was between UDisc and the Pro Tour, and
Yeah.
like what it is with the PDGA and why.
Because
The
also
PDGA
the season long stats from UDisc and like
Yeah.
all of that. I mean, the
Yikes.
PDGA, like if this is true, if that's truly what's happening, and please, I hope it's not, but if it is, then PDGA, you got about 2 weeks to get your act together for the entire Pro Tour season. Because the stats, when I clicked on stats tab for the weekend, all it gave me was birdies on the course of like which hole was the easiest, which hole was the hardest.
No
It gave me
bueno.
nothing on circle 1, circle 2, fairways hit, all of that gone. So yeah, actually, the more I think about it, that's way bigger, way worse than I was expecting.
Yeah, because like we used like as
Because you miss all those stats.
as like quote unquote analysts, we use those stats to talk about what happened. Like it helps tell the
So
story.
it tells the story because you
Yeah.
can look at what player. Because like then, oh man,
Like,
if
I-
this is true, I really hope I'm wrong.
I'm trying to think why UDisc wouldn't have been there.
That's what I'm thinking. Right? It's a Pro Tour. Like they were at the Pro Tour finale, And why haven't they posted their schedule yet?
The sketchiest thing is that the PDGA did just overhaul their live scoring, like the look
But
of
also
it.
the UDisc schedule for 2021 was posted in December of 2020.
See, I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, the UDisc schedule hasn't been posted yet, and we're 2 weeks away.
Oh my gosh, dude, I'm gonna be so.
I
mad.
really hope
Everybody,
this
let's just get mad. No, let's everybody get mad.
I hope this
Even
is all
if
just no.
everybody
Wait for
tweeted
Vegas.
PDGA. No,
Wait for Vegas.
let's all get mad.
Angry.
Yeah,
I'm so
Let's wait for
angry right
Vegas.
now.
But if Vegas comes and there's no stats, and it's
You're right.
PDGA Live,
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we
tweet.
doing?
We start a tweet.
Should we boycott? Should we make T-shirts that say like
Let's say boycott.
"Bring back UDisc"?
Let's just make the UDisc logo in the PDGA colors and sell T-shirts.
Love it.
Our disc.
Hashtag our disc.
Hashtag our disc.
No, okay. Let's just before we
Our
freak
disc-
out,
our
let's
disc
wait
pro.
for Vegas. Let's wait for Vegas and see if it's true.
Wait
see if
for
there's an
Vegas
announcement.
and see if it's true.
Wait for Vegas and see if it's true.
Okay.
So we'll do
That's
that.
fun.
It just sounded like a really
It
good
really
chant.
did sound
and
like
I love
chant.
a good chant.
I'm all,
good
you know,
chant.
if someone's chanting, I'm always joining in.
I know.
I don't know what it's for, but what do we want to go straight to Trevor's trivia, or do we want to play a little game before Trevor's
Ooh,
trivia?
I like games.
All right, let's play a little
Let's
game.
play
This was
the game.
actually Trevor's idea, but it's not Trevor's trivia.
I'm
So with the skills match, skills event for next year, what is one skills event you'd like to see added? It can be anything.
I want to see how high they can throw.
See, that's
Not
a great
that
one,
far.
sick.
Konner.
How
That's
high.
sick.
That's a
Max
great
Vert.
one.
Like have like different levels of like basically like pole vaulting, but instead they're just levels.
They
made
should
to
have a
throw over
wall.
them.
They should have a wall that like
That
when
would
you
be so high in the air.
no, they should have a wall that when you hit the wall, it leaves a mark. Like it changes the color of it, so it's very visual.
How
And you
tall would
throw-
that wall
very
have to
tall,
be? It's
very
so
tall.
tall.
You throw from like 25 feet back, and you're just
Yeah.
chucking straight up at it. So when your disc hit, it like leaves a color. Do we just invent a new X Games sport?
It's like so
That's-
useless.
yeah.
But
No, I'd
it.
love it.
I think
It's like the game that Brody played of like
I
you
think
throw over
you
that
have
tree.
to. I think you. Yeah, that's. I think you have to throw over something because that's actually semi-practical.
Maybe
but
it's just like a high jump where you like set the line. You're like, I can throw this
Yeah,
high, and you get like
yeah.
3 attempts to do it.
Love
That's
it.
thrilling. I
Guys
love
just
that.
like aiming
I
directly.
came up with that on the spot. I came up with
Yeah,
it.
that's amazing.
I said it as a joke, but it's kind of. It's like
That would be so much
also
fun to
kind of
watch.
a fun idea.
All right, Trevor.
I've got a couple ideas. I
Good, 'cause
like
I don't have any, so sneak me one.
I like
Sneak me.
I like a
Slide
skipping
it under the
competition where they throw skip shots on the water and you got to go for like maximum skips and distance.
Yeah,
it's like both
that's
factored
cool.
in because I like watching the disc skip on the water. And then my other one, I wanted.
And then you might see companies start developing discs for skipping on the water.
That's right, innovate, baby. I want to see
called
a. Dang it. I want to see a roller competition.
Dang it, that was the only one I just thought of.
But the skill of your roller has nothing to do with distance or anything. It's just each time you can go forehand or backhand roller, and each time it's a bigger loop-de-loop that it has to make it around. So the loop-de-loop gets taller. So you got to throw a harder roller each time to make it around the loop-de-loop.
All right, I'm going
funny.
with
That's really funny.
a version of Konner's game that I just thought of.
love
But
it.
instead of how high, it's how far can you park. So you set the distance of how far out a basket is, and you have to land within 30 feet. So the players
I
can
would-
name it, and it's like whoever has the farthest distance
Yeah.
that they park it wins.
It would be good to have just like a pig, honestly, like pig or horse
That's cool too.
type of thing.
Yeah,
that'd be
Something
fun.
where like the players are calling the
I think
shot.
it'd be cool to like
that.
set the line of like, all right, you know what? So going first is a huge disadvantage. You're like, I'm gonna put it at 450.
I also, you know,
me.
it would be a simple one.
Garrett Girth would be like 620 out there. Then he parks it, and Trevor's like, I've got to throw 625.
I got
So you
this.
got to go
So,
back 5
yeah,
feet.
that's
Got
cool.
this. I also, a simple one would be just guts, like to have the pros play guts.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
No, it's
Right before the season.
No, dude. But they use real discs. Disc dodgeball would be pretty electric.
Disc ball.
Disc ball.
Disc ball.
Dodge.
Dodge disc. If you can dodge a disc, you can dodge a ball.
That's right.
All right. Time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia.
Okay.
What we got this week?
So this is going to be, I haven't done this in a long time.
I love when you start with that.
These are the, like, who am I game
Trevor.
where I basically,
Got him.
you win. That's it. Basically, I'm going to list hints for, I have two different players. And then the way we're going to do it this time, though, since I like pitting you all against each other, it's way more fun. I have an FPO player, and then I have an MPO player, and I'm going to just slowly read down the hints.
And the first person to say
The first
who it is
person to say it wins. If you guess and you guess wrong, the other person
gets the next guess.
guaranteed gets the next guess, and they can even wait out all of the hints. So just know, like, you got to pick your moment. Okay,
You got to pick your moment.
first we're going FPO player. Here we go. Ready?
I just guessed right now.
I'm from Canyon Lake, Texas. I'm rated 947. I have 70 career wins. I have 95,000 in career earnings. I won 2 A tiers and a Silver Series last season. 2009 was my rookie season. I'm sponsored by Innova.
Lisa Fakis?
Got it.
Oh, dang it.
I was just Texas. I was stuck on Texas.
You always get stuck on the location.
I get stuck on weird ones.
So I
The funny
always
thing
pick
is-
ones that are like
The funny thing is, the name I was just gonna blurt out at the beginning as a joke was gonna be Lisa Fakis.
You
I
should've
should have
done
just done it.
do it this time.
All right,
MPO player.
Lisa Fakis.
All right, MPO player. I'm from Alpena, Michigan.
Kyle Klein.
No.
Gosh darn it.
So now you get as much time as you want.
Heck yeah.
48 career
You
wins.
just sit there and just watch me sit.
82,000 in career earnings. My best finish last year on the Pro Tour was 3rd. 2015 was my rookie season, and I switched sponsors in the off season.
That's it.
That's all you get.
Wait.
Your biggest hints there are probably going to be the 3rd place finish being the best from
Yeah.
Michigan, and then switch sponsors in off season. And the 2015 rookie season, actually. There's a lot of good hints in there.
Switch.
Do you have an idea,
sponsors
Hunter?
in the off-season?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel like at least.
Well,
I'm not
there's only
stupid.
so many. There's only so many
then let me
guys that
just think
switch
through.
sponsors, and then
There's a
how
lot
many
this offseason.
and how many are from Michigan?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
You
of,
could probably rule out quite a few because you probably do know where a lot of them are from. And then also one that finished best finish was 3rd on the Pro Tour last year.
See, that one means nothing to me because I can't.
But if you go from the list of guys
I'm
that
just trying to think of
switch
people who
sponsors,
didn't
that
win.
probably that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm trying to think of people who
Like
didn't
you
win.
can already rule out a few people.
switch sponsors last 2022, 2021. I mean,
This past off season that we are in right now.
Oh, yes,
they have
yes,
just
yes, yes,
switched.
yes.
They've just switched.
they
sponsors.
just switched. Okay.
I will also say they are ranked in the top 12 in the world. I believe.
that threw out my one guess.
I believe they're in that top 12.
Okay.
They're
Well, let
definitely
me
in
just,
the top 15.
I'm just gonna think who just switched, and then that way I can at least get Hunter to help me out. I want to say no. Chris Dickerson is not from Michigan.
He sure isn't.
Guess him.
I think I'm gonna start a timer.
That's I'm making this segment very boring.
I'm trying to think of another hint I can throw out, but if I'm gonna throw out another hint, but then it's opening it back up to
I
both
have
of
my
you.
guess.
How
Oh.
about give me another hint and then give me 10 seconds, and if I don't get it in 10
Okay.
seconds, go ahead and let Hunter guess.
Your last hint, I'll just say that this was one of the more surprising moves of the offseason.
Oh wait. Who went to Infinite? No, that was it. That was Eric Oakley. And that I don't think he finished 3rd.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
Oh man.
I like this.
My
usually I don't
brain
stump-
is gone.
Usually
I
don't stump
can't
y'all.
even think
Hunter
of who
usually.
moved.
I thought I was going to say the location.
I've got my player, but I don't think it's right.
Well, then it definitely isn't. Like everything is like you would know if you had it. I think.
Go,
Do you want me to say my
go
guess?
ahead and go, Hunter.
Matty-O.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think
Yeah,
so.
because he's from the South,
He's
right?
from Bama.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Everything else was the only thing I could think
All
of.
right,
Of like,
last
came in the
hint.
top 3.
Last hint. This is going to be rapid
I feel like
fire.
whenever we find out what it is, we're gonna be so upset.
Yeah, I know.
I think we're going to be putting with the same putters this year.
Andrew Marweed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Andrew Marweed.
I forgot he moved. To be honest with
I
you.
did too.
His name never came in my mind.
Dang,
Not once.
dude.
I'm 100% with you.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was thinking through Chris Dickerson, Matty-O, Eric Oakley, and they just kept going through my head. I'm like, no. Because Eric Oakley's from Salt Lake City, Utah. Dickerson's from Tennessee. And I was like, Matty-O's got to be a Bama boy, but like maybe he was born in Michigan and moved to Bama
Yeah,
later.
that's what I need. I need like a sneaky.
That's what I was thinking was happening. Marweed didn't even cross my mind. Kyle Klein, as soon as you
That was
said
a good-
Michigan, I was immediately like, oh, Kyle Klein. I
That
think
was
he's
a
from
good-
Michigan.
Always,
that
I
was a
know
good
you always
game.
try to
That was a good
snipe
game,
me on the
Trevor.
locations.
Yeah.
That was a great game, Trevor.
That was
you
a
did
good
good
game.
job.
Thank you.
I'm
All
sorry
right.
we were not that great of contestants.
No, it's better than you getting it right away.
I had a thought last night.
Oh, I love thoughts.
love
And
thoughts.
this might not even be a topic, but it could be because I was watching
Oh.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be a discussion or not.
Hunt's just
set
gonna
it
say a
up.
statement, everybody. Just
No,
a
this
heads
might
up.
just be a
Hunter's gonna say
very
something.
this might be a very stupid thought.
Just go ahead, say
Okay,
it.
say
But-
your stupidness.
I was watching. I forget who it was. I was watching one of the players putt. Doesn't really matter because all the putting form kind of looks the same, which is where my mind came from.
All the putting form looks the same.
Well, similarly, that we're facing the basket with our shoulders square and our arm goes down.
Did you invent a
and
new
up.
way to putt?
No, I was just
Oh.
thinking though, like our
Dang it.
sport's so young, right? Why do we accept that as the correct way to putt?
I've
Because
said this.
realistically,
I've had this take before.
because when you look at it, it doesn't look like a natural way to throw a frisbee, right?
You're talking.
You're right.
I did say before, and
Like who came up with who invented this way of putting?
Putting is the
that we
most
go
ridiculous
straight down
looking
and up?
thing to people outside of disc golf. Whenever they watch disc golfers putt, I feel like that's the part that looks weird.
That's what I'm thinking is like why do we putt the way that we do, and is that something that like someone's gonna come on the tour and just like
change it up. Well, think
Yeah.
about it though. The way we putt right now is so you're basically. Let's talk about the difference between putting and throwing a normal shot. Number one, you're going to fan your fingers out so that you have a cleaner release, right? So you're not trying to. You're not,
I do that with all my shots and putters.
Number two, what a lot of putters do is not spin putt. So they're taking their wrist out. You're using your bigger levers in your body so that you have less left-right miss.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing that. So that makes sense. You're also facing the basket because you can. You want to look at the basket the whole time.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, like what.
But
what
why is spin putting so bad?
Because you have a bigger chance of
there's a
missing left and
wider
right.
array of
But my thing
Most
is
putts are trying to keep their miss up
sure,
and down.
sure, absolutely.
What? Okay, give me an example of something that you could pick out of that putting that would be like game changing. I don't think, like there might be some kind of like new.
So what I was thinking, right,
philosophy
is like,
to
in
it, but,
theory,
like-
in theory, the thing that makes someone good at a motion like that is just repeating it so much.
Well, let's say this though. Here's what we do know about putting. We do know about putting is there are people good enough at it that they will never ever, pretty much ever miss a putt except for their mental game.
Yeah.
No, sure.
So like we don't like putting doesn't have to get any
I'm more
better. It's
thinking
always
like
a brain thing.
Inside 20 feet, inside 25 feet for pros, it doesn't matter what your putting form's like. Like if your mental game's strong, you're not going to hold on to a disc too long spin putting because like some of the best putters in the world are spin putters.
I want to know what your development.
What
is.
I'm thinking is like once you get to like 35 to 40 feet, if you're a push putter, it's really hard to generate that type of power.
Yeah, typically you guys spin it a little more.
Yeah, exactly. So only thing I was thinking is I was just watching it and I had this like moment of like in my mind I forgot everything I knew about disc golf. And I just
That
went,
explains a lot.
I immediately went, why do they throw it that way when they putt?
Well, it's kind of like
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's just where my mind went. I was like,
I
why do we
understand.
putt like that?
I understand your thought.
I
You
have
see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I have said before with like disc golf form. I did say before, like, it's interesting that we've all accepted this is how you throw a disc the best. I wonder if someday a guy will come in with like science and like new technology and be like, well, actually, you get more speed and stuff out of this. Like, because we don't measure a lot of stuff. And like putting, I'm trying to think like in the golf world, like putting is all about straight back, straight through, like to some degree. But there's like, well, there's some.
But putting golf form is very similar to
What
hitting golf form.
what we might see is somebody develop a product that finds like the best nose angle. I think it comes down to like data. Like when people have the data to know this is the best nose angle for this kind of wind, this is the best trajectory your arm should go on. We might find a better like this is the standard way that you should putt a disc. I agree with that. I
don't know. I just had a
Because it's true.
moment
Like,
where I just looked at it and I was like,
you do see-
we look weird when we putt.
You do see
Why do we do that?
people will spin putt from their left shoulder and then people are push putting from here. And like one of those, like scientifically, is probably a better way to putt.
Yeah.
So you're right. There probably will come a day where people will more accept like this is the best way to putt, and it's because it's backed by science.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was just
Not like, but I do also agree that like a lot of putting at the end of the day does come down to feel. But like I said with golf, like when you start getting to that fighting for every inch mentality and like looking at the deep numbers, like there are guys that make very minute changes based on very, very specific numbers.
It's
No,
also
I don't-
kind of like
That's something we don't have in disc
in
golf yet.
cornhole, they haven't really changed up how you throw the beanbag
Dude.
because
Those cornhole guys that are
that
pros,
just works.
they're
Well, I think it's just like anything putting and cornhole. I think are very
Is
similar.
cornhole
Yeah.
the
Of just,
best like crossover sport?
Might be.
Like,
Well,
if
that's
you're-
what I was saying. Is
are
like
you
it's
nasty
just
at putting if you're a good cornhole player?
Or are you nasty at cornhole if you're a good putting player?
And like all I was thinking
Think about
though
that.
in my head was just like it's such a small repetitive motion
You're
that
just
like
a rebellious guy.
if you get good at whatever motion it is,
Right, it's gonna
you'll be a
work,
good
but is
putter.
it the best?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Though, it's like
no,
our
that's
sport's so
completely
young.
true.
So like how like
We won't-
at some point, I guess more so what I was thinking is at some point someone had to decide I'm not going to throw this frisbee a normal way. I'm going to have my arm go back and forth straight at it.
Yeah.
And like what
No.
made us all accept
Literally,
that as
no.
gospel truth?
Literally,
Probably
disc
because they
golf.
were really good at putting.
Yeah, no, disc golf is literally at this point all based on what feels good, and then people seeing things they like in other people.
Because the other thing
copying
too
it.
that made me think about it, the more I thought about this, is I was like, it also is somewhat true that like when you first start playing disc golf, 15 footers feel very easy because you're not thinking about missing all
Yeah.
this. You're just tossing a frisbee towards the chains. Like
No, 100%.
very simple. Then the second you start developing putting form, your putting
suck
goes
at putting.
downhill. You suck at it.
You start thinking about
And
it.
some people like me, I think I was better at making a 20 footer when I first
It's
started
the-
them right now.
No, it's the
Yeah.
same. It's like if somebody hands you disc right now and you were just like all by yourself and you're like, I'm going to toss that into that basket 25 feet away. You're probably not missing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But no, it's literally like,
so like, why do we change
people-
the form if it's just like, oh, I just catch
it's
it and
because
toss it, it goes in?
it's all feel. Whereas like in golf right now, when you're like developing a golf swing, it's all numbers. Like they're like, we know the numbers. You need to change your swing to create this kind of number. You need to lower your spin rate. You need to change your attack angle. Disc golf, we don't really have that data. Nobody's looking at that. So it's all just when you're developing your putt, all you're thinking about is how does that feel and
That
did it
would
go in the
be- that
basket?
would
See,
be
the
so
whole thing
great,
I was
'cause you-
thinking about
Like,
was
that's what-
I was just looking at. This is how Paul putts, so I must need to putt like that.
Imagine if you're on a putting simulator of some sort and you throw a putt and you see nose angle, spin rate, wobble, like all these things, and you can like throw another putt and then see, oh, that one had better numbers. Like
That would be awesome because I tried to get Brody to fix my putt a few months ago.
it didn't work, man.
And by get Brody, I mean I was putting and it was so bad that Brody was like,
Well, he's
Konner,
like
you got to
s-
figure something out.
He's like 6'5".
and he kept on like giving me tips, but the problem is that he's so much taller than me.
Yeah.
So those tips work for him. They just don't. And I was like, I wish that there was like a this is what's wrong, not a,
Yeah.
like this is what seems like what's wrong or this is what works for me, but like a this is the right way to do it.
100%.
well, there probably will never be. This is a right because everyone's different.
No,
I-
I
no.
want
So
the
like
right
some
way.
people are gonna be better spin putters than they are push putters.
This
that
is
are
the
whatever.
other thing too. Is like even with golf, there are a million different ways to achieve the numbers, right? So
Yeah.
like putting will always have different styles. However, what you do see in golf is a lot of people at impact of the golf ball look very similar because they are at the end of the day, no matter what they do in their swing, they're trying to achieve a similar result at impact. So what you might see is if we get that data, you're going to have people achieving the same thing with their putt. It just still looks different how they get to it.
Yeah.
That's what might happen.
I don't know. It's just something I thought of.
That's a great thought. I've also thought that, and I think it will happen someday.
Hopefully.
There's going to be more objective truths about disc golf form because right now we're just all lying to each other.
Yeah. Last thing to talk about this weekend, and I actually want to. We have a first-hand reporter on the ground. Was the Wolfpack Cross County Classic,
I was
and
there.
Mr.
It was
Trevor Staub was
electrifying.
there. So walk
me-
us through
oh,
what
heck yeah.
happened.
Okay,
Trevor.
first of all,
give us a little story.
Let me tell you what I saw in the like 2/3 of the first round that I was there. Number one, they put in 2 temp holes on there, so they made it a 20-hole course. Because after you get off of 17 there, before you go to 18, there's 2 holes like out in the field, and they made one like this elevated basket island hole. It was sick. Here's what I saw out of the teams that I were watching. Not a lot of good golf, but what I did see more so than that, you know what I saw and that I missed was like the team, like my brother's team, like they weren't playing super well. They were not having a good round. They were not throwing a lot of good shots, but you know what? They were having fun. And that reminded me of like how college disc golf, like we all had abysmal doubles rounds together, but we always laughed and like had so much fun. And you know what? They went out and shot even in collegiate doubles the first round, which is not good, and then they shot 8 under the next round.
Dang.
They turned it around because of the morale. That's what it all comes
no,
down
this
to.
is always one of the like bigger, whatchamacallits.
There was
qualifiers
a lot of
the year.
teams there.
But yeah, there's
lot of
114 players. I can't find the results to save my
Okay,
life.
so let me tell you how they did the format too, because I didn't want to explain this. So the way they did this format is typically the way it works is everybody plays. A lot of these qualifiers go 2 rounds of doubles, 1 round of singles, and a lot of times it's just like everybody plays doubles 2 rounds, and then everybody plays the round of singles, or doubles, singles, doubles. Sometimes it is, but in this one there were so many teams that the way they did it was some people were playing their singles rounds while other people were playing their doubles, depending on what division you were in. So like there was like the A division was playing singles that first day while the other divisions were playing doubles. So that's why it was like kind of confusing.
but there were 3 rounds.
Yeah, no, they did do two rounds of doubles, one round of
so
singles.
on the team results, I can only see the 2 rounds of doubles, and Appalachian State won that. But then on the singles results, I can only see players singles.
Man, who handled the scoring for this?
PDGA.
PDGA.
Oh, well, technically, I mean, but you can't. What should have happened
It's really hard
is
to
on
score.
the team results, they should have added a round 2 that had the singles round, like
Yes.
how it was either averaged or all put together. Because like I don't know who won. I want to be able to tell you who won, but I have no clue. I know Ben Wolf from Clemson won singles, and I know Appalachian State had the best double scores, but that doesn't mean anything because like
Means
Clemson was
nothing.
6 strokes behind, and that's nothing in singles.
Doesn't mean a single
Nothing.
thing.
And yeah, and like
not
Liberty
one single
had
thing.
their full champ flight in the top 6.
Did College Disc Golf post about it?
And Liberty was in 5th. Well, they had to make up 11 or 9 strokes.
Did
I
College
don't
Disc Golf post about it?
I'll look on Instagram, but I don't believe I saw it.
Trevor, do you think that your brother gets like crap on the team? He's like, oh, that's Trevor's brother.
I don't know. I think no. He definitely how do I say this without sounding like a narcissist?
You just gotta send it.
He
Just
definitely
say it and then we'll make fun of you.
He definitely hears about it. Like he
Dude,
has
you're
said,
such a narcissist.
Dude.
but his team was super cool. His little double squad, like they had like a good vibe going.
The only
they
thing,
weren't quite as like obnoxious as like my old team. But
hey man,
no, like 'cause we they would like giggle and like laugh it off, but like
Oh,
we
we
would
didn't.
bust up laughing. Like no,
we
like,
were toxic.
no, like you remember, like
I
we
hated
would throw a bad shot, and like we would just turn around, we'd all just be
Oh,
laughing
yeah, we'd
at
all
each
be
other.
laughing,
Like that's what I'm saying.
100%.
Like we would just be cracking up. Like there was no
In
like
doubles, it was a very fun time.
Yeah, there was no awkward silence. Like oh, bad shot.
No, you were made fun of
Everybody
immediately.
was just laughing at each other, and it was the best.
Yeah.
I loved it.
College Disc Golf, their most recent post is me and you actually walking out of the tunnel
Yeah,
at
no, I
Nationals
saw
with
that.
Nate Carroll about to spike the flag in the ground.
That's a great picture.
Yeah. So they haven't posted anything after that. Maybe on their story. Let's look at their story. App State takes the win.
Let's
Boom.
go, man. Shout out Luke Combs.
What?
He went there.
Oh.
That's the only thing I
App
know
State.
about
Oh,
App
see,
State.
look, I can just look at App State Disc Golf, and here we go. So App State knocked off number 1 ranked UNCC, number 2 ranked Liberty, and host number 17 ranked, that's low, NC State, in an epic comeback against number 16 Clemson.
Let's go.
I'm going to just read this whole summary. After starting off with a hot round, 3 players that they just have their tags, I don't know what their names are, had to battle back to keep App in the running, while Ben kept our average afloat with an excellent 500 in singles, down 2 strokes going into Sunday, and needing an outright win due to Clemson's singles averaged. Leaked some strokes in the middle of the round. With their backs against the wall, App State A gained 5 strokes over the final 7 holes to take home their club's first ever road win.
That is sick. I still
Boom.
remember
Appalachian State takes it down.
one of the craziest events we played in. We played at Clemson the one year, and we went into the we didn't play well in singles. And we went into the last doubles round down by 5, and that is a lot to climb against a
lot in
good team in
doubles.
doubles at their home course. And 5 holes in, we were 1 stroke back.
We were popping off.
We had like a 30
Was this
foot.
the year I was there?
Yeah,
I'm just
We-
acting like I was. I don't remember it.
We had like a 30. You don't remember that? We literally we took
I've got
one
nothing
stroke,
but bad
then 2 strokes.
memories at
We got to
Grand
the
Central,
island
man.
hole. We get to the island hole, and Pete and I have like a 30 footer, and at that point, it would have gotten us like a few holes in.
Yeah, I do
tied.
remember.
It would have got us tied with them, and we both bricked it in
Yep.
front of Coach. And
I
then
do
at that
remember
point,
that.
from that point on, we never even tied it up. We couldn't even catch
We couldn't
him.
even get back. Yep, I do remember that now. 'Cause it hurt.
Electric, absolutely electric.
Yeah, because we started on that like hole
going into that tunnel.
Yeah, into the
and
tunnel.
I ripped it in there, and we
Yeah.
took 2 strokes on the first hole.
Yep, I remember that. Oh man,
We were
there's
f-
nothing like collegiate doubles.
We were firing
Frick,
on
I love it.
all cylinders.
I miss it.
I do
Take me
too.
back.
I was
you know
like,
what? Let's reclass. Let's just
it was.
forget our jobs, go back to college.
It was crazy the amount of jealousy I had, like standing
Like
around
season 5
all those
Community.
kids, and like I was like,
We got it. Are we going to nationals and playing on the
so
alumni?
badly I wanted. Probably not.
It's in April, man. In
So
North
badly
Carolina.
I wanted to be playing in that event though. Like I was like,
Look, me, you, and Konner. We just gotta find our 4th.
I could totally pass for one of these kids. Like
Come on, dude. We got this.
we would get killed.
But it'd be fun. Think of how much.
Maybe.
Think of the memories, the core memories we would have.
Such good
It's tough
memes.
though when you're not actually like when you don't have the pressure of walking back onto your bus. Knowing
Yeah, that was the best part.
Because like that's the thing is like you're
You gotta-
part
That's how
of-
it
you
is
gotta
whenever we
walk
do-
back onto
that's
the
how it
bus
is
after
whenever we do
shooting the-
Bogey Bro battles. We all just walk back to the car and we just all sit in the car quiet like, well, that was a bloodbath.
Oh no, it was much worse because you'd like come back from shooting singles and like you either
Somebody
had a great
did.
round and you were
Yeah,
like soaked
yeah.
to come back and be like, what do you guys shoot? I had an
Yeah.
8 under. Or you were the guy that shot the 3 over and you had to walk back to like
I will
Ryan
say-
and Pete's smiling faces. And they're about to tell you they shot 17 down. You're like, yeah, guys, I let us all down. I shot 3 over.
Somebody did make the comment to me because we were at East Clayton, which is where we got slaughtered in the
That's
Bogey
where we
Bro battle.
retired.
Yeah, also that.
We sort of
But we
retired from
lo-
our professional
and
disc golf careers.
somebody said to me like, last time you were here it didn't work out so well. Like, what are you doing back here? Like, okay. And I was thinking he was talking about when we had played a tournament there, but he was talking about the Bogey Bro battle. And I was like, oh, I've been murdered twice there now.
I've been murdered every time I step foot on that property.
Hey, I loved
Yeah.
my round there.
It's fun course.
It's a very fun word. It is hard.
I
It
made
is
murders us.
so hard.
I made Pete really upset whenever I walked back out because I shot the same score as him.
Good job, man.
I was the reason why he was upset.
We're about to
going
see
back the
Pete in
bus.
a month.
Yeah, we're going to go play him.
In Dallas.
Dude,
Who's Dallas?
That's Dallas.
that's Dallas, man. College disc golf is fun. If you're in college right now and you have a disc golf team, like, get on it. What are you doing? Best time of your life.
I'm pretty sure if they're in college, have a disc golf team, and are listening to this
They're
podcast,
probably
they're
are.
on their disc golf
But
team.
you know, like at our school, like there were a lot of kids who like were into disc golf,
That's
and it
true.
took them a while to join the
That's
team.
true.
You just got to leap.
That's true. Just take the plunge.
Some kid just got a scholarship. You see
Yeah,
that?
Oklahoma Christian or something. There's some university that's offering a scholarship to disc golfers.
Dude,
Wow.
I would have taken that. What the
Yeah.
heck? I feel like I could have like catfished my way into a scholarship and then not been good. Yeah.
All right, there you have it. We'll talk to you again next Monday.
Monday.
New time, new place. Yeah, same place. New time.
Same.
We'll see you then.